I had a line in a play one time with the wonderful Leslie Jordan, and I would go, "Distance and darkness, honey, it's a girl's best friend." And that was not what that was. Closeness and brilliant fluorescent light. Where am I going? Where should I go on this rocket ride? You go to Washington and kick some ass. I'm off to D.C. and then I kick some ass.
Dale, Dickey, welcome to Bullseye. I'm so happy to have you here and have you on the show.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.
So on Widow's Bay, you have a monologue that is over 10 minutes long.
Mm-hmm. I think they kept the whole damn thing. So.
And there's a 30-minute show. You know what I mean? So that means in one of the episodes of the show, you are talking for 35% of the runtime.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. Yeah.
Did they shoot it all at once?
Pretty much. It was a blur. I know we were there all day. I think it took 2 days. Maybe one day on my stuff and then turning around. But yeah, it was a beast. And Rosemary is in and out of the episodes before that. She has a few lines here, a couple of episodes, she has one line. And then Katie came to me like 2 weeks before and went, "By the way, you might want to see this early." I was like, what? Wow. It was a challenge.
Well, because it's the scene is your character mapping out the genealogy of this cursed family in this island in Maine.
Yes.
And so it is a list of names and circumstances. Like, it's not even, like, you can't even do the, like, actor trick of, like, relating it to the thing the other person said, so how do you even get it into your head?
I still have the friggin' pages in a box at home and the slides. I tried to look at it. It reminded me of like junior high when you have to learn a lot of facts and dates about history and names. And I just tried to learn the story and try to associate somehow certain names with certain people. But then which kids were dead, which kids were lesbians, which kids were what? It was like, I really don't know. I worked my ass off on it. I would walk around the set for those 2 weeks, people going, "Have you learned those lines? You need help with those lines." They offered me everything. Hero was like, "Look at your teleprompter, anything you need." They knew it was going to be hard. So I learned the whole story, and I'm decent at memorization. I did a lot of theater. I've done a lot of lead roles on stage where I've had to memorize a lot. But this was probably the most for film, for television. And then I forgot about, then you got to bring the slides in. There's 10 of those. With
right, she's writing things on a overhead projector.
Right, which is upside down. And then the slides come in. And then I'm doing X's and O's. And then some of the slides go down and you have to make sure you pick up the right one or it's the wrong names. Great props people, great ADs. The crew was terrific. I was so supported. I was terrified, but I took a deep breath and we got through it. I really don't remember much about the day. I look at it now as an actor and I'm like, wow, I know in my head I will learn things sort of by the page for this kind of thing. So I knew, okay, this family comes at the top of this page and you get down to here. And I can sort of see myself when I watch it, remembering the beats of it.
Okay, so literally or figuratively, how did you mark up that script?
Oh, gosh, I should have brought it with me. I go through and I will color code things, like with highlighters. Usually you'll see actors highlight their lines in yellow. I would have the pink and the orange and the blue and the green, and I would highlight like different families for sort of the mood of the color. It sounds weird, but if anybody looks at my script and my notes, it makes absolutely no sense. I circle things that are important. I'll make little, which is, I don't know what that means. I do little symbols to remind me in my head, this is sort of this moment. She's shifting into here so that I can try to find the beats and not just make it one long, big, boring genealogy story. I don't know. It was crazy. And I'm waiting for season 2 when they throw something else like that at me.
I mean, the thing of it is, and you identified this, your character is a regular on the show. In fact, this is your first regular on a TV show.
It is, which is a big thing.
You've been acting on TV for 30 years.
I have.
But anyway, your character is a regular on the show, but primarily on the show, your character is making remarks. You know what I mean?
She is. She's making quips. She's there for the quippage, and observing, and she's part of the ensemble, part of the group, which I love. And they might explore these characters more next season, but I just figure that's going to be my job this season, and I'm there and doing my job. So when this thing came about, I was like, wow, okay. It was strange to throw that much after, there's a couple of episodes where I have line 1, my favorite. Maybe you should spend some time in the crawl space. And then I went to set that day to watch the crawl space scene with the scary clown. And I screamed in Video Village, which you're not supposed to do. It was frigging scary. But I really wanted to watch Matthew go through the horror of it.
So ordinarily, when an actress is on screen, she is lit and shot to look beautiful and soft-faced, let's say. In this scene, in which you are essentially lit by the practical light of an overhead projector, you look like, frankly, it looks like when I had a high school girlfriend where we were in a production of the Three Penny Opera, and she played Pirate Jenny, the elderly prostitute, and drew lines on her face to make herself look old.
Honey, look, I think it was some show I worked on where you go into the production office and they have everybody's resumes up on. I don't know where they'd found this old picture of me, but it was like 20 years old. I went around drawing lines on my face. I said, this is really what I look like. I am fully aware. I am definitely the most wrinkled woman in Hollywood, maybe the most wrinkled person. Sean Penn, Tommy Lee might give me, I don't know. But the weird thing, Jesse, is with everything else going on, I didn't even notice that. I didn't even think about what this is doing to this crazy face until I saw it. And people commenting on it. And it's like, it worked. It worked for Rosemary, but yeah, it was pretty horrific. It's pretty. I had a line in a play one time with the wonderful Leslie Jordan, and I would go, "Distance and darkness, honey, it's a girl's best friend," and that was not what that was. Closeness and brilliant fluorescent light.
I mean, I do think that you are the sort of character actor who probably was getting made up to play 50 at 30.
Absolutely. Even in my 20s, as I started in theater in New York for like 10 or 11 years before I came here.
And you are and were good looking. I don't want to de-emphasize that for people who are listening on the radio.
Look, I know, look, my husband makes me feel beautiful. I know, the weird, women always hate something about them growing up. I did grow up really thinking I was not pretty. It was the chin. But I look back at pictures now and I'm like, wow, you weren't that bad.
I tell people sometimes about this time that I interviewed Paul Dano.
Oh, and
Paul Dano in film and television, obviously a brilliant actor.
Yeah.
But this guy often is playing a weird-looking weirdo.
Yeah.
Paul Dano walks in here and I'm like, oh, right. The guy who plays weird-looking weirdo in film and television is the handsomest man I will meet today. Like a level of charisma and good looks coming off of Paul Dano that is breathtaking to me.
Yeah.
And it's a weird thing about the extent of everyone on TV looking like Tom Cruise, but just having varying levels of talent.
Exactly. And my journey in this career, my husband and I used to, back in the day where they did Polaroids in the trailers, I played so like X-Files. I had blisters on my face, and they had through hot water. I was an alien. And then Breaking Bad, I was like the skankiest of the skanks they'd ever done. So lesions everywhere. Played all kinds of the pirate biddy and a thing for Pirates of the Caribbean. All kinds of like really gnarly roles, which I loved. They just put dirt on my face and grease in my hair, and I'll go. And so we used to keep them the refrigerator, all of those, and we would look at things, and Steve would go, "That's a Dale role." You know, the hag running across the heather on the hill in a movie. So actually, I have to tell the story because when I first got the script and I was working on my audition, my self-tape, he was reading with me, and one of the things was the sea hag monologue. Goes, "Are you playing the sea hag? That's a Dale role." I should like to be the sea hag, but yeah, I can dress up nice. I had to get dressed up fully yesterday for an event and with some really beautiful people. I was like, please don't sit me next to Michelle Pfeiffer. But you know, I felt pretty. They made me feel pretty, and yeah.
I'm just imagining your agent setting up a Google alert for backstage audition listings that have the word hag in them.
There you go. Well, look, when you mentioned in my 20s, I always played either people like under 15, like children, kids. There was a naivete, I guess, but always over 50, even college. So I was playing well, and Tyne Daly told me years ago, I worked with her on a Cagney and Lacey movie, one of the last ones. It was a reunion.
Oh, you're talking about Cagney and Lacey : Together Again?
Yes, that one. Thank you. I played a homeless woman, and I had worked on Christie, a TV series. It was my first thing with her before. And I think they had to cut one of my big emotional scenes, and they kind of threw me a bone, and I got to work with Tyne again. But she was like, Dale, because I was wanting to move to LA then, and I was nervous. And she goes, "No, yeah, they're going to tell you you're not the type, but you're going to work more the older you get. Just trust me on that. Love your face and keep going." And I held on to that, and I did. Like I tell kids, I scare them when I say I didn't quit my day jobs, whatever they were, until my mid-40s, really. I started to be able to kind of make a living, which was wonderful. Anyway, I started to work more. Obviously, in my 40s, things started to roll. And I do think other actors I'll see that I know are so talented, not getting any work, and they're younger, and I'm like, you're going to grow into it. You'll see. Just keep going. Someday, I don't want to tell anybody to stop doing what they're doing if they love it. If they don't love it, go, run, find something else.
You mentioned that your career really got going when you were in your 40s. You didn't start doing film and television at all until you were in your mid-30s. How did you were doing stage work. Yeah. You were working, but how'd you end up on TV?
The jump was, I grew up doing theater as a kid. The university in my hometown, Knoxville, had a really fabulous theater program. There was a director here, Hollywood director in the 30s and 40s named Clarence Brown. He did National Velvet, The Yearling, a myriad of movies. He bequeathed a lot of money. He was an alum of UT. They built a huge proscenium. They brought in an equity Lort company to work with the students. So then I went there to school. I apprenticed with the company. I ended up getting my equity card, which doesn't mean you're going to work. The same with a SAG card, but I had it, so I felt a little confident moving to New York, even though it took me forever. I couldn't get an agent. They didn't know, you're not pretty enough, you're not quirky enough, you didn't go to one of these schools. I just kept plugging away, and I found my own work, regional, off Broadway. There was very little filming in New York at the time. Like, there was The Cosby Show, there were Woody Allen films, and Law and Order was just starting up. And then I booked this TV series called Christie, which was short-lived on CBS. I lived in New York. My buddy said, "Hey, I'm up for a lead role on this show. They're shooting it down in Tennessee. I mean, in the mountains, Dale. They're casting all these supporting roles." I flew myself down there to meet with the director. An agent I was sort of hip-pocketing with got me in there, and it just clicked. If there was anything I was right for, it was an Appalachian mountain woman. And so I did a recurring role on that for a couple of years. They were all from LA. This was like 94. And I thought, okay, I'm going to try to make the move. I was terrified. I was terrified to start over, and I had said, I can't go out there without an agent. It's not that kind of city. I can't do it. I'd worked with a theater director several times that had been a child actor. He knew of a small boutique agency that loved theater actors, and he got me an appointment, and they took me. And I started working co-stars, then guest stars, and then my first recurring was the wonderful My Name is Earl, Patty the Daytime Hooker, which was just tons of fun.
Evening Waitress, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right. Nighttime Waitress.
Nighttime Waitress, thank you.
That scene with Beau Bridges. He doesn't know I'm a hooker. He hands me a box of candy, and I'm like, oh, there's nuts. Allergies. Yeah. But yeah, that was a blast. So that's how I got in. And my very, very first on camera was a NYU student thesis project as this crazy cotton lady that roamed the cotton fields of Arkansas. Really strange and wonderful. And then I did The Incredibly True Adventure of Two Girls in Love, which was a big indie around 95. I got cast in a nice little supporting role in that. So I just kept doing more and more, trying to find my way and learn the business, learn how to bring things down for the camera. And every job I work on, I learn more how to. So as you can tell, I'm very animated. You got to be still. And I will tell you, I was diagnosed recently with ADD as an adult, and I was like, why hasn't anyone ever told me this? And now looking back, it makes huge sense. And I've realized, I think the reason that I stayed with this career is because it's really the only time I can be focused and disciplined, and it feels good to do that. In the rest of my life, I'm just kind of a jack in a box all over the place.
I have a question about your early days acting.
Mm-hmm.
You went to the University of Tennessee, where there was a great theater program. You learned to be a theater actor. But your early days acting after that as a professional actor were in Chicago and New York. When you were in New York City auditioning for plays, what was your relationship with your Southernness and how the extent to which you presented as a Tennessean?
That is a really great question. And I had a really big turning point in my work, how to get work. I think because growing up in theater, I did a lot of Shakespeare, did a lot of classical stuff, just being in the background. My directors would call my mom and say, can Dale come be in the background of this Shakespeare play? So in high school, I would get teased because I talked differently. I didn't really think I did. So the Southern accent wasn't hugely strong, but it was there. And that day you had to have, I did so many open calls. Just that day you sat on the equity line outside the building and tried to sign up, go back to your job, come back. I loved it. I was poor as dirt, but I loved those days. But I was not getting callbacks for anything. And I kept getting, wow, you're good, keep going. But I could not find a contemporary comedic monologue. And I took this workshop with a casting director, David Tochterman, and he was like, Dale, Beth Henley, Crimes of the Heart and everything. And I was like, no, I don't want to get typecast as Southern. And he was like, lesson number 1, yes, you do. And he explained to me, and he was absolutely right, we can see your Ophelia later. You need to find something that speaks to you. You read Southern all over, your rhythms, your sensibilities, even your accent, even if it's not strong, it's there. And when you find something like that, your auditions are going to change because they want to see what you have in here, what you do differently from anyone else. And by damn, I found an obscure Henley play called The Wake of Jamie Foster. I think Holly Hunter had done this role on Broadway. And I started using that monologue. And I started getting callbacks. I started getting work because I learned to embrace that part of myself. I was going to be typecast, and that's what they do. So embrace it, go with it, and down the line, maybe you get to do other things. I did a lot of Southern things, and I still love it. But now I live with a guy from Detroit, so the accent's kind of shifting.
Did you learn to modulate your voice? Like, did you learn to move into whatever, talking like Cary Grant or however, whatever the version of a flat accent is that you might learn in acting school? Perhaps my own San Francisco accent is pretty flat. With one Midwestern, one East Coast parent.
Yes. There was a thing called standard stage speech, which we were taught in college, I guess. And so I did learn that. And then I did have one teacher that just kept pushing me to use my lower register. Because everything was up here, you do need some variety. But when I studied in England briefly over the summer in like 86 with a classical program, British American Drama Academy, and we had a wonderful dialect teacher, Andrew Jack, I think, who would explain dialects. And he's like, Southern people, the Appalachians are Southern people are usually able to do the British Isles accents. They're all good at ours. But I loved working on those accents. And the best thing about doing that program was, at the time, this was 86, so he was not huge in the screen world. But Brian Cox was my main teacher. And we had like 3 teachers. We had a dramaturg and a director and an actor. And Brian was working, I think, in the West End at that time. So we would go see his plays and then come back, and he would teach us. So that was pretty invaluable.
I mean, that's a real fire hose of charisma there.
He is a fire hose of charisma. He was great. We did a lot of scenes from Strange Interlude, which I think he had just done on Broadway with Glenda Jackson. And fire hose, I like that. Yeah, charisma. I only have seen him once since. I was in New York for a film festival. He was doing that championship season, and I had the day off. I wanted to go see it. I sent a note backstage. I got a note back, please come up and join Brian for tea between the shows. So I did. And it was great.
When you started working on screen, was it because you had chosen to start working on screen, or was it because you had been auditioning for 15 years and it just finally started working?
I loved film. My mom took me to everything growing up, the theater, ballet, and movies. She loved movies. And in New York, it wasn't that I didn't want to audition for films. I just didn't have the opportunity. I didn't have an agent getting me out there. There was one towards the end, this agent that was sort of hip pocketing me. There was
and tell our audience what hip pocketing means.
It means they're not going to sign you. But they're going to work with you, and sometimes
they're like, in case you get a job, I will take some of the money.
Right, exactly.
I'm willing to take some of the money if you get a job.
And then there was this thing where there were a couple of agents at a time that wanted to submit me for things, and then whoever called you first in the morning, you had to go with them for the audition, even if the next person called immediately after. So they would call about Southern things, and they don't do that out here, and I was told that before I came. But I did get an audition for some Southern movie. I think Frances Conroy? Beautiful, wonderful actress. Yeah. She ended up getting the part, but I was so excited to get a film audition. I went in one time for a Law and Order, and I just remember Dick Wolf going, "Thank you, Dale." I left, but I didn't.
You finished your audition and just heard dum dum.
Yeah, dun 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 dun. It was my favorite show. I wanted to work on it so badly. Finally, they did Law and Order L.A. and I got to play a prisoner, so I got to be on it. But I wanted to audition for it. The opportunities just weren't there.
You're just at home desperately practicing your miming of stocking shelves.
Right.
Like, I will book
and
this.
So when I did Christie, playing the mountain woman, it was Tyne Daly, LeVar Burton, Kelly Martin. It was a really good, sweet series about a woman that goes as a missionary to the Appalachian Mountains. But it was on at the same time as Touched by an Angel, and I don't know, it didn't last. But I wanted to learn how to do camera work. It was so different, and bringing, I remember early on casting directors here working with me, and they're like, quieter, more still. And even more, where it felt like I was doing nothing, which was odd to me. But then you work with somebody like Jennifer Lawrence, and it's like right in your face. It's like, oh my God, that's it. That's what it is. Every time I work, I learn more. Thank God.
5 years or so ago, you were the lead in a movie called A Love Song. Had you ever been the lead on camera?
Never. I was terrified. It was a young kid, Max Walker Silverman. I call him a kid, but he'd come out of NYU in film school. And film school kids, they all sort of tend to work on each other's projects. We had a nucleus of like 10 people, production designer, cinematographer, lighting, whatever, that all worked together. This was my first job during COVID. And because when he called me and asked me, I was like, Max, I've never done a lead. Are you sure? And this is such a different role for me. And what he said, he also said this to Wes Studi, the beautiful, wonderful Wes Studi, who that was great casting instantly. He told both of us, he goes, you've spent your careers playing such gritty, hard-bitten, rough, down to the core people. I want to see this different side of you, the gentler side, the sweeter side. And I thought that was lovely. I was terrified that I couldn't pull it off. It's a very quiet movie, so it's all about here.
Your face.
Yeah. And we were filming outdoors, which is my element. I love it. During COVID, everybody was still masked 10 feet apart. But Max had done some acting. He reminded me a little of Deborah Granick. He just had a sensibility. He knew how to talk to actors. He pegged me instantly. I said, look, these are my insecurities. This is what I'll start doing. I'll start dissipating if I'm not clear. And he would rein me back in. And so by reining me in, I sort of learned a new physicality for Faye. And her routine, her discipline was the most important thing in her life. Those simple things, that's what she lived for. Dale's not used to that. It was very different. But being the focus of the camera, again, with this face scared me. But outdoors, I look better outdoors, and it was a beautiful experience. I climbed that mountain with the kids, and we took our masks off. It was the last night. It was like, we're going to hug each other now. We climbed this dang mountain for this big shot. It was so cold. But that was, and I worked again for those kids. They did another film called Hot Water, which is coming out. It was at Sundance. I did a small role for them in that. And they all work for each other. Like Max is the producer now. Ramsey is the writer and director. And I do something that I've never done on camera before, but I did it for them. And I'll maybe leave that as a surprise.
Is it karate?
Oh, I wish it were karate. No.
That was my last guess.
I play a hippy-dippy woman in the hot springs who's integral to the plot of this road story between a mother and son. And they told me all about the script and everything. And I went, oh, it sounds great. I'd love to do it. And they went, one little thing. You got to be naked. And I went, what? At my age, there's nothing's in the right place. What? Are you crazy? I said, Max, I don't know. I got to think about this. And Alfonso, our cinematographer, I spoke with him. I spoke with all of them. I knew these guys. They had me. They had my back. I trusted them. I knew that we're going to shoot from afar. When you're in the hot springs, we're going to shoot from here up. You're not going to see full on. You might see your butt, and a little sideways. And it was just sort of, I thought, well, what the heck? I don't care. It's important. This woman doesn't care. I'm playing a character. Dale doesn't care. I immediately went on a diet. I'd gained some weight, which for the first, I put on some weight, and I thought, okay, just try to lose as much as you can that you feel good. Suck it in, get a tan, and go get naked. Oh my God, I still can't believe I did it. My husband was like, are you nuts? I think you're beautiful, but you're going to show it to everybody. So yeah, I don't think that's a spoiler.
you have something over 150 credits on IMDb. And I just picked out names that interested or amused me. A lot of them are things I haven't seen. And I'm just going to tell you the things, and you tell me if you remember anything about being in these parts, because there's a lot of them.
And there's a lot of them that no one's ever seen.
Anything,
I've never seen. Okay.
Anything that you say you don't remember being in at all, I believe you and I understand.
Okay.
Because there's 150 of them.
Okay.
Iron Man 3.
Absolutely. Working with Robert Downey Jr. That was a thrill.
I mean, Robert Downey Jr. is a live wire.
He is a live wire. I have great respect for him. You know, been through a lot in his life. And what I saw immediately in him was it was a tiny little scene, but he gathered the group of us and took us into a room and we discussed it and asked us our input and our thoughts. And that was really cool. And, I was a little nervous meeting him, but he's just such fun. And he was so generous and giving. And I do remember Ty Simpkins, who played the young kid, when we had to leave and the scene was over, he was just sobbing because I think he was like 10. He's sitting in Robert's lap and Robert's just giving him the okay speech and everything. But and Shane Black, the director, he had a huge black eye when I got there. He tripped over something. I remember a lot. We were also stuck in Wilmington, North Carolina for a while because of that. It was a huge scene that was cut. It was the water tower scene. Everything floods. It was fun, but that was cut. So yeah, good memories.
All right, one of my favorite television shows, Justified.
Oh, God. My husband's rewatching it right now.
It's a great show.
Raylan's in my living room.
Shout out Raylan Givens.
Yeah, Raylan Givens. And, Walton Goggins. What a wonderful guy.
Shout out Goggins. Shout out Goggins Goggles.
Yep.
Shout out Walton Goggins brand vodka.
Yeah. We, Margot Martindale as Mags and Caitlin Deaver, who I got to work with later on, unbelievable. But Justified, I, of course, played a prisoner, another Dale role. And I remember working with Ava. Jolene Carter, I think is her name. And they had her cut her hair because she was in prison. And she was lovely to work with. And I remember she would say, she goes, this is kind of weird. I'm kind of depressed because I miss my guys. Boyd comes to visit her in prison. And then I have this great fight scene, of course, where I get to die. And that's always fun.
All right, the guilt trip.
Oh, one of my favorites. I never in my life, of all the people I've worked with, Jack Nicholson, Sean Penn, it's like, Barbra Streisand, why would I ever have the chance to work with Barbra Streisand? What? I love Seth Rogen too. I thought, yeah, maybe, but it was just out of this world. Tiny role, great time on set, great stories. Do you want to hear one? No.
Yes.
Okay. So I play this trashy. They stop. They get stranded in Tennessee. The car breaks down. It's snowing. We were actually filming in Santa Clarita. They had built this parking lot next to Red Lobster full of snow. And Barbara's character goes, oh, tapas. I love tapas. And it actually says topless. So they come into a strip bar. I'm the bartender at the strip bar. At that time, I was pretty svelte, and they had me in you could see my belly, low-cut jeans, a little top with oysters on the half-shell titties, and big hair. And the bar, behind the bar, it's raised a little bit. So Barbara was down, she and Seth. And Seth was such an icebreaker. As soon as I came on set, he's like, Barbara, you remember Dale from Winter's Bone? Because that was still out there. And she's like, oh, yes, yeah. She was lovely and beautiful. But the best part was, we're outside filming the scene where I go out to help them fix their car. And we're standing there waiting while they're setting up. And she's like, so Dale, what do you and your husband do in your spare time? And I went, oh, we love to go camping. We go camping anytime we can. We still tent camp and just love it. And she goes, where do you go? And I went, oh, never heard of it. I said, well, our favorite place to go is a place called Kernville, where the Kern River is. And she looked at me and she said, that's where I spent my honeymoon with James. I'm like, you honeymooned in the rugged place that I go camping and play in the river rocks? And then I loved her even more because they had there's one nice lodge up there that has one room with a fireplace and I guess a hot tub. But that was such a cool moment.
Kevin, can you send an email to NPR and ask how they feel about us broadcasting the phrase oysters on the half-shell titties?
Yes.
Sorry, I tried to be good. I don't even know where, because somewhere somebody said that to me. So
it was a rock solid bit of business. Okay, Frasier.
Oh. Gosh, you're picking ones I have good stories, and I'm sorry, probably taking way too long. Okay. Frasier. I got Frasier. It was one of the first jobs I had after I'd gone through a pretty low period in my life. Went through a couple of years that just having a lot of problems. And my day jobs were things like dressing up as Barney and Shrek. I got the job. I had no money. I had not paid my SAG dues, didn't have health insurance, and I didn't really know what Station 13 meant, but that meant you couldn't work because you hadn't paid your dues. So we're already in rehearsals, and I get the call from SAG, you can't work next week because you haven't paid your dues. I didn't have any money to pay my dues. Meanwhile, I am working on, at that time, the most expensive paid cast ever. And I'm like, maybe I can go up. Could you loan me $2,500 to pay my SAG dues? I was terrified. It's like, I can't lose this job. And I had a great friend who was working as an actor that I had known from New York, David Lee. And he loaned me the money so I could pay my dues and do it. And I paid him back. And everybody was so great. Kelsey Grammer was just a delight to work with. And I'd never done I think it's 4 cameras. It was my first time. And this was one of the chin things started coming into play with lighting. The lighting designers keep the chin as casting shadows. The chin. And Kelsey Grammer, he picked up on it because he could see me getting frustrated. And he goes, you're self-conscious about that chin, aren't you? And I went, a little bit. He said, so is my wife. And he just broke the ice and then explained a little bit of tricks to do for this. Really gracious and generous. I've been lucky that way. Haven't had any bad eggs, I don't think.
So I have a little bit of bad news, which is that as a journalist, it's my responsibility to ask you about playing Shrek and Barney.
I had a lot of day jobs, odd jobs in my life. In New York, I waitressed mostly, but I drove a truck delivering tofu sandwiches. I worked for a consulting firm stuffing envelopes. I worked for Balloonist delivering balloons out here. I found that waitressing at the music center made me cry as they'd throw me in the weeds when everybody had to be at the show. It's time, give me my coffee and my pie. And there was no busboy. So I left the waitressing and I valet parked. I was a valet parker for a while. That was the same time I was doing Barney and Shrek. I needed money. I needed a job. I couldn't get anything. And restaurants were like, well, we can't hire you because you're working now and then you'll just leave us. And I get that. I don't want to hire and train you. So I had a friend that was doing these birthday parties. I had done some children's theater for kids when I was in college, where I dressed up as a clown and you learn the balloon tricks and things like that. And I thought, I need a job, let's do it. And sadly, the company I worked for was sort of down and out, and costumes weren't always the best upkeep. Yes, Barney, Shrek, Tinkerbell. I wasn't allowed to leave the birthday party, the job, without getting money from the client, which I thought was really unfair. I'm in a friggin' Barney outfit, and the woman's complaining that it is a bad costume. She can see rips and tears. I'm scaring the children. I mean, I can't, all of a sudden I can't make balloon animals. It's just like, oh my God, please don't make me have to do this. But also another bad one was I had to dress up as a the true tales of the glamour of Hollywood. I had to dress up like a mermaid or Ariel and sit down to Venice Beach as a mermaid. With this wig. We were passing out flyers for some environmental cause, which was great. I wanted to do that. But we're walking down the boardwalk in Venice Beach or Santa Monica, and up ahead, I see one of my favorites, Mr. Steve Martin with somebody else kind of tootling down the sidewalk. And I thought, oh, God, please, I don't want to have to pass this man dressed like this. I know what he's going to think. He doesn't know me. Just go. I was like, avoid eye contact, avoid eye contact. Well, he had on glasses, but I could just see him sort of smiling like, I'm sorry for you. I was sorry for me, too. That job didn't last long. I'm pretty sure I got fired. I wasn't happy doing it. It was hard. I mean, it was hard to be in those costumes in the heat, and I felt like an idiot. But, I did it. I had to do it. And did a lot of things like that.
Did you have to do a Shrek voice?
I think I was supposed to do a Shrek voice. So I'm sure at the time I watched Shrek and tried to do it.
Is Shrek here with us right now?
No, Shrek
Can we talk to Shrek?
Shrek can't come out right now, Mrs. Torrance. He's hiding. No, I could not recall. No, I can't. I can't. And at the time, it was just horrible. Barney was I love you. That was easy, but sorry, I'm going to disappoint on that one.
That's okay.
That's okay. I probably only did Shrek once or twice, and then they fired me because I couldn't do it.
Something donkey.
Something donkey. Get in my belly. That's oh, hey, haggis.
Well, Dale, thank you for taking all this time to be on Bullseye. What a joy to get to talk to you.
Thank you for having me. I've had really great fun, and I love talking to you.